What's up everyone, my name is Alpha and today we're back with another Pokemon challenge video. Today I have no internet at all. Fun fact, I've been going on about 6.5 days without internet and I still had to make a video. So today's video will be, can I beat Pokemon Scarlet Hardcore Nuzlocke using only raid den Pokemon, and I can't have help with any outsiders or anyone to jump in and help me with my raid, so I have to really do it by myself. The rules are on screen right now. It's gonna be a Hardcore Nuzlocke. For each route, I'm only able to catch the first raid Pokemon I encounter, and that's gonna be my Pokemon for that route. I don't necessarily have to go into raid den immediately. I can save it off and hold on to it when I do need to encounter a Pokemon, so it's more useful for us. And of course, there's gonna be a level cap at the bottom left. Fainting does mean my Pokemon will be perma-dead and I can't use them at all. That's why there's a death counter on the bottom right as well. And as well, I can't use items inside a battle. I can't use any bag items such as potions or elixirs or anything like that, but I can use hell items because those are pretty nice. And that should pretty much sum up the basic rules of this challenge. I will also want to add my own personal rule onto this. Each of my Pokemon will be nicknamed after you guys in the comments, so thanks so much for leaving a comment in my previous challenge video. If you guys want to be nicknamed after a future Pokemon in my future challenge video, just drop in the comments and hopefully I'll pick yours. And while you're down there, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. We are currently, oh well, someone unsub, please sub. 1 2 3 4 46 subscribers away from 40,000 subscribers, and technically we have 3 days to accomplish that. I believe we can do that. It's like 12-ish, 14-ish subscribers a day. I'm pretty sure we could do that. If you guys can, please leave a like on this video. Please drop a subscribe on my channel. It means a lot to me. Feel some pity on me because I did this entire video without internet. I have internet coming in on the 29th, but this video is going to be set to be uploaded on the 28th. So I'm going to go to McDonald's and upload this video on their Wi-Fi to get this video out for you guys. But anyways, let's get into the challenge video itself finally. So after the hour introduction in the game, I've clicked A 57 million times just to get through all the attacks. I could finally get into my first raid den, which is going to be in the West Province number 2, and my first Pokemon is going to be a Pichu, which is awful, so I don't want to do that. I do use some outside Pokemon for the first few dens, so so my Pokemon obviously don't die, but it's just for the first few dens. After the first gym, I won't use any outside Pokemon. After that, we actually catch ourselves a Tadbulb, which is gonna be on my team for a very long time, surprisingly. Now Tadbulb was gonna be in the South Province 1 raids, and now our next Pokemon will be in the West Province 2 raids, where we got ourselves a Combi. Unfortunately, you guys can see from the patch on his head that it's lacking. It's not a female Combi, it's gonna be a male Combi, but it's okay. It's still a bug and flying type Pokemon, so it's gonna be useful for us in the very first gym of the game. So we're gonna face off against the grass gym leader in the game. She can start the battle off against us using a Nimble. We're gonna use our Combi and two-shot it with Gus. Her next Pokemon is gonna be a Tarantula spider looking Pokemon. I sent out my Pichu just to paralyze it because her Nimble initially struggle bugged down my Combi, and Combi did not do a lot of damage. Unfortunately, we lose our Pichu immediately on our first gym, so that's not a great sign. We eventually knock out her spider looking Pokemon, and then she sends out her Teddy Ursa, which is getting Terra Evolve into a bug type Pokemon, and surprisingly it does a lot of damage. I did not know how difficult this gym would be since it continuously uses Fear Swipes against me, and I'm at pretty low HP. I think my Combi's can go down at this point, and it does to a Fury Cutter. I'm surprised that even kill. I'm pretty sure I'm 4 times resistant to that, but you know what? I just switch out into my Tadbulb. Lucky enough, it is a Terra type fighting type, and it's the one of 2 times I Terra Evolved in this entire game. But I'm gonna Terra Evolve my Tadbulb into a fighting type, so it resists bug moves. I'm able to get a Paralyze onto the Teddy Ursa as well, and from there I am able to knock him out, and we survive the first gym. So we have 2 deaths to start off the game, which is very unfortunate. But from there, we're going to make some adjustments. We went to this lighthouse first and get ourselves a Thunderstone, which will evolve our Tadbulb into a Bellabolt, which is very nice. And then from there, we also catch ourselves a Starly from the raid dens in the East Province. I believe it's the East Province or something like that. Then we're going to face off against the Stone Titan. Someone in my comments was very pressed that I did not show any of the Titans or Team Star fight. I'm not going to fight Team Star. There's no purpose. There's no end game for me to fight Team Star. Our only goal is to beat the gyms and beat the Elite Four. And the Titan fights are very useless. Like, you can see me beating them down very easily. They're very easy battles if you go in order. And as well, the cutscene after them, it takes about 4.5 minutes. You guys want to watch this? I'm never going to show this again. This is the most boring thing. Not a single person cares about the Titan fights like that. Anyways, we're gonna move on to the grass gym. We're gonna face off against this man over here. I actually don't know his name. I'm just didn't care to learn most of the gym leaders' name. Eventually they'll fall on me. But we're gonna start the battle off against this Pedalo using my Staravia. My Staravia is gonna aerialize into him and one-shot him. So we're back in business, you know, doing our thing. He then sends out his next Pokemon, which is going to be a Smoliv. I one-shot it as well, and then his next Pokemon will be a Sudowoodo, which he's gonna Terra Evolve into a Grass type. And I forgot that it does some damage. It was a Rock type initially. I went for an Air Release. It does about a third. He goes for a Rock Through. It almost kills me. So I gotta switch out into my Bellabolt. And lucky enough, Bellabolt has this cool special ability which charges its body up. I don't know the calculations. I'm assuming it doubles the electric type moves every time, but it actually works out pretty well. And eventually I am able to beat down a Grass type using an electric type move, even though it resisted. So I'm able to survive that. Again, barely survive a gym fight, and I'm able to beat down a Grass gym using my Bellabolt, which this thing is just a tank. Survive both gyms at very low HP. And then from there we can move out and catch ourselves a Rockruff in one of the last South Province or the Eastern Province, one of those. I'm not too sure. But unfortunately this Rockruff does not have the hidden ability. I think Own Temple or something like that. If it did, I was able to get myself a Dust Mane, but unfortunately this Rockruff does not have a special or hidden ability at all. So unfortunately I just gotta evolve it into midday. From there we also catch ourselves a Deerling, which will be in the East Province too. I could guarantee that one. I remember that one pretty well. So it's gonna be a decent member on our team. And then our final member before we head into the next gym will be a Ralts in the desert, the Sato Desert. Well, unfortunately this Ralts is a female. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a... I just wanted to Gallade. It wasn't a... This is so bad. I just wanted a Gallade. It's a female. I just can't get a Gallade. But, I mean, Gardevoir is still cool. Anyways, we go into the electric gym of the game. We're going to face off against the electric gym next. And we're going to start the battle off against her using my Bellabolt. Unfortunately, she uses her little electric bird Pokemon. So my Bellabolt is actually completely useless. So that's a poor start. But I send on my Rockruff next. It's going to take a Pluck and then one shot down the little bird thing with a Rock Throw. It does have a Hard Stone on it. It does a little more damage. She then switches out into her own Bellabolt, which I go out into my Deerling. Deerling's going for a Leech Seed, and it kind of stalls out this Bellabolt pretty well. But I'm going to switch out to my own one, and now I can Mud Shot into him and eventually knock out her Bellabolt, which is pretty easy. The next Pokemon will be a Luxio, which I am able to take it down with my Bellabolt. I hype this thing up so much that I could finally use it, and it's actually really fun to use. I don't know why I like using Bellabolt so much, but eventually we're able to knock out the Luxio and then face out against her ace, Miss Magius. We can't actually Mud Shot it since it has Levitate, but I could switch out into my Deerling, and somehow, someway, Deerling never hits itself in confusion, lands a Leech Seed, lands a Bullet Seed, and I can switch in between my Bellabolt, my Deerling, and eventually stall out the Miss Magius. This battle actually took considerably a long time. It actually took over 10 minutes. That's how long the animation in this game is, but eventually I can stall out the Miss Magius and I'm able to beat down the electric gym in the game. So from there we can move on and go out into our next raid den. We can face off against this Girafarig, which is a 3-star one, and it's gonna be level 35. So unfortunately we can't actually use it on my team at all until we raise up the level cap. But from there we're gonna face off against the water gym in the game, and I'm actually not worried at all against the water gym, surprisingly, since we have a pretty cool Pokemon in Bellabolt. We also have a Gardevoir, which is pretty decent. I say that, but bad things happen. I'm gonna start the battle off against the water gym using my Bellabolt. I'm gonna take a hit from the Veluza pretty well. Aqua Cutter does not do too much damage. I get charged up, and I'm able to Thunder Shock into him. He eventually learns a better electric move after this gym, but Thunder Shock will knock out the Veluza in one shot. His next Pokemon will be a Wugtrio, which I switch out into my Deerling. I don't know why it's sandy here. It's really messing up my whole vibe, but I miss a Leech Seed against the Wugtrio, and then at this point I can't just switch around, or I'm just gonna lose a bunch of HP and I'm gonna lose my Pokemon. So I decided to just sack my Deerling. It's whatever. I go out to my Gardevoir next. Gardevoir lands a Dazzling Gleam against the Wugtrio, which will knock him out. And then his next Pokemon will be obviously Water Terra type Crabominable, which all I gotta do is land one Hypnosis. If I land one Hypnosis, the battle is over. I can switch out to Bellabolt pretty cleanly, knock him out. I go for Hypnosis. I of course miss. So 2 moves I miss, costing 2 of my Pokemon. So that's unfortunate. So okay, 4 deaths. That's not great. Next up, I switch out to my Staravia, which will go for an Air Release. He misses 2 Crab Hammers against me now. He decides to miss 2. And then I can switch out to my Bellabolt. He's going to attack me. He doesn't do a lot of damage against me. I'm able to Thunder Shock into him and knock him out. So that is the end of that. So very frustrating. I lose 2 really good Pokemon. I was really looking forward to using Deerling, surprisingly, but unfortunately didn't want it. Next up, I'm gonna catch a Sandile in the West Province. I caught Giraffe in the West Province 2. I believe this one is West Province 3, I believe, something like that. And at the lake, I'm able to catch myself a Tinkertuff, which is really nice. And from there, I'm face off against Larry next. Larry is going to be the normal type gym leader in the game. The only gym leader that I remember his name from, I think Grusha, is it Grusha? I think Grusha, the ice type gym leader, I remember his name. And I remember his pronoun now. A lot of people commented and corrected me on his pronouns, but we'll get there when we get there. Anyways, we're going to face off against Larry. We're going to start the battle off against him using my newly formed Staraptor to close combat, knock out his Komala pretty easily. He then can switch out into his Dunsparce, which I know, I risked it. I was really confident. Close combat does not kill. I don't think I have a good nature on my Staraptor, but it was an attacking nature Staraptor. I'm pretty sure I knock him out, but unfortunately he's going to glare me, so my Staraptor is now paralyzed. But I go for a quick attack and knock out the Dunsparce, which is nice. His next Pokemon is going to be his own Staraptor, which I decided to switch out into my Tinkertuff. Bad memories from here. My very first Nuzlocke, I lose my Tinkertuff in the same position, but lucky enough, I'm able to survive 2 facades against him and then switch out into my own Staraptor, and I'm able to go for a close combat and knock out his Staraptor, since he's straight up just a normal type, and I'm able to knock out his Staraptor, beat down Larry, and get our 5th gym badge in the game, I believe. From there, I'm able to evolve a bunch of Pokemon. I evolved my Tinkertuff into a Tinkaton, and it's very fun to use. As you can see, I always think in my head is Gigantaton Hammer, which doesn't make any sense. It's Gigaton Hammer, as I'm just having fun. I'm having too much fun using Tinkaton. From there, I can move on and face off against the Ghost Gym Leader in the game, the Ghost Rapper Gym Leader in this double battle fight with some DJ boost. Super annoying. Whole fight is very annoying. I don't like it, but I'm gonna start the battle off against her using my Bellabolt and my Staraptor to use Intimidate to lower the attack stat of both the opposing Pokemon. I also get a nice discharge off against the Bayonet and Mimikyu. Now, unfortunately, this backfires onto me as the Bayonet is gonna Icy Wind me and lowers my speed on my Crocodile. So unfortunately, now I'm slower than everything on our team. Surprisingly, I am able to one-shot the Bayonet, and I don't get a speed boost from the DJ. So she then switches out to her Houndstone, which I was like, I'm pretty sure I survived a Mimikyu play rough. I did not expect this in the following turn. Her Mimikyu went for a Slash, and then her Houndstone went for a play rough. I did not expect that. I thought the Houndstone was going to attack my Bellabolt. I did not know she's going to double attack on one of my sides, so that was very embarrassing. Discharge does not even kill the Mimikyu or the Houndstone, so I decided to go out into my Lycanroc next. Lycanroc also has Rock Slide, so it's actually a multi-hitting move. So from there, I am able to do some damage against her. Rock Slide knocks out the Mimic. Unfortunately, I'm unable to knock out the Houndstone, and she disappears with a Phantom Force. But her Toxicity comes out next, and I'm 100% certain that they're gonna attack into my Lycanroc, and my Lycanroc's not gonna be able to survive anyway. So I decided to go for my Bellabolt Discharge, thinking that my Lycanroc's dead anyway. She Terra Evolves her Toxicity, and it does a lot of damage to my Lycanroc, and her Phantom Force does a lot of damage as well. But unfortunately for me, I survive it, and I realized what I just did. I went for a Discharge and knocks out everything on the field. And what I mean by everything, I meant everything. So everything goes down, both her Pokemon and my Pokemon. So there's the 6 deaths. So I have 6 deaths in this run already. That is terrible. 1 team kill as well. So we have to go back to the drawing board. I went actually up north into North Area 1 and get myself a Shellos, which they spawn at very low levels in this raid. And then from there, I'm gonna get my final Pokemon in the game, which is gonna be a Litleo. Litleo is going to be a fire type Pokemon. I was pretty fine with it. Oh, also this was in South Province area number 6, I believe. And a fire type Pokemon is pretty decent in this game. If you want to have an easy time, have a fire type Pokemon. We're gonna get ourselves a Litleo. We're not gonna train up our Gastrodon or Pyroar because I don't really see the use of it right now at all. So I decided to just go in with my 4 Pokemon at the level cap, and we're gonna start the battle off against the 7th gym leader in the game, the Psychic Gym Leader, using my Fire Giraffe, which is gonna be a mirror match against her own one. I decided to go for a Crunch as she goes for a Crunch as well. So it's a straight up mirror match. Eventually I get the edge because I'm a little faster, and I end up knocking out her Fire Giraffe. From there, she switched out into her Gardevoir, which I go for my Tinkaton, which, I mean, it's so fun to use. I get to use Gigaton Hammer and smash into the Gardevoir. Pause. A lot of people want to do that. I just want to knock them out. From there, I get Nasty Plot on my Fire Giraffe, which is pretty nice. She then switched out into her ostrich looking Pokemon. which I still need to learn the name of. But I go for a Player Up, and then a Gigaton Hammer will knock out her Ostrich looking Pokemon, and her final Pokemon will be a Florges, which will obviously go for Terra Evolve and then go for Moonblast against me. I take that pretty well since I'm partly Steel type, and from there I could go for a Gigaton Hammer. Almost knocks him out, but unfortunately I don't want to risk it as I switch out into my Bellebolt, which will take any hit, and then go for a Sucker Punch to knock out her Florges. Pretty easy. The only time I'll use Sucker Punch with my Bellebolt. I don't remember having that on my Bellebolt until now. But from there, we're going to head into the 8th gym of the game. We're going to face off against Grusha. He is going to be the Ice type gym leader, and he is unremarkable at all. So he's actually pretty garbage. We're going to start the battle off against him using my Tinkaton to Gigaton Hammer into his Frostmoth, which is pretty easy. I mean, super easy. I go for a Metal Claw, looking for attack boost against his Beartic, but unfortunately I don't get it. I go for a Gigaton Hammer against him, knock him out, and his next Pokemon will be a Sentient. I decided to go out into my Staraptor to lower his attack stat, and then when my Staraptor gets low, I decided to switch back out into my Tinkaton, because Tinkaton can survive any ice move pretty easily since it's part Steel type, and then I could go for my favorite move, Gigaton Hammer, just to smush down the Sentient, knock him out, and then his last Pokemon will be an Altaria, which is going to Terra Evolve. I go out to my Bellebolt, and at this point, I was not paying attention at all. Wasn't worried at all about this fight, because it's probably one of the easiest fight in the game. I was actually watching a Wizards of Waverly Place retrospective, which is like 6 hours long. Yeah, I got very bored in this. I did this entire challenge in one day, but I'm able to get a bunch of discharge off against him and eventually knock out his Altaria. I wasn't even paying attention. I thought I lost a Pokemon because I wasn't paying attention at all, but I didn't lose anyone at all, and then now we can go out and start training up our Pokemon to the level cap of 60. Now, I actually didn't put the plus sign, but it means 60. Once I go into the Elite Four, my Pokemon at the max will be 60, but if they gain levels while I'm facing off against the Elite Four, it should be fine. It should be counted, and you know, no problems there. I found out a great way to actually train on my Pokemon, just to spawn in a bunch of Chansey by using the sandwich technique. You need ham, mustard, cheese, I don't know, pickles, something like that. The recipe is like just a ham sandwich, and then put it into area 1, and you're able to train up your Pokemon pretty fast. I did all 6 Pokemon to level from about like 48, and some of them were like level 20s to level 60 in about half an hour, which it still takes a long time. It wasn't super fast, but it still got the job done. If I did it normally, going into like North Area 1, going into North Area 2 and North Area 3, it would have taken significantly longer, maybe like another hour, maybe a little more too, I don't know. But from there, I also got a bunch of nature mints and changed my Pokemon's nature to the correct nature, so they're more beneficial to special attacking and physical attacking, obviously accordingly. And then from there, we could finally head into the Elite Four next. The Elite Four is not too difficult. We're going to go through the interview questions on our first try, which is obviously the hardest part of the game. And then from there, we're going to face off against Rika. She's going to be the first Elite Four member of the game. We're going to face off against her ground team, and I'm going to start the battle off against her using my Gastrodon. She sends out her Whiscash, which is going to go for a water move against my Gastrodon. Boost the special attack, which is nice. Then I'm able to knock out the Whiscash pretty easily. Her next Pokemon is going to be a Donphan, which I go for a Muddy Water against. It's going to go for an Earthquake and crit me, and I get very frustrated because this is my only Water type Pokemon, and now I can't even use it against the ground Elite Four member. Fun. I go out to my Staraptor, which is able to go for a quick attack and knock out obviously Donphan, and then her next Pokemon will be a Dugtrio, which I go for a quick attack, which will two-shot it. It sets up Sandstorm, which is kind of annoying, but I'm able to quick attack once again, knock him out. His next Pokemon will be a Camera, which I go for 2 Aerial Aces against and knock him out. Last Pokemon will be his Ace Pokemon, his Clogsire, which is Terra Evolve into a pure ground type, which is actually weaker than, arguably weaker. The Poison type actually would hurt him in this situation since I sent out my Fire Giraffe, which is a Psychic type. I am able to psych him down. I lower his special defense, so it's up. If the battle could just move a little faster, I can end up knocking out Rika and her entire team, but she decides to go for Protect and then Toxic me. Luckily enough, I'm able to still, comfortably knock out the Clogsire and end up knocking out Rika, and we don't lose a single Pokemon on our first Elite Four member. Next up, we're gonna face off against Poppy, arguably the easiest Elite Four member in my opinion. I'm sorry, but we're gonna start the battle off against her with my debut Pyroar, which I haven't used this entire run. So I'm gonna start the battle off against her using my Pyroar to Flamethrower into her Copperajah, knock him out in one shot. Her next Pokemon will be a Bronzong, Flamethrower, knock him out in one shot. Her next Pokemon will be a Corviknight. You get the picture. Flamethrower, knockout. This is actually funny. She sends out her Magazone, which I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna go for a Headbutt, try to flinch it, break it sturdy, and it actually works out. So broke the sturdy of the Magnet Zone, Flamethrower to knock her out, and then the final Pokemon will be Tinkaton, which I go for an Overheat, which was unnecessary because I'm pretty sure Flamethrower would have killed anyways, but Overheat does knock out the Tinkaton, and we end up beating down Poppy. By the way, I'm going off all memory. I can't really go on CRB to look up the gym movesets or the Elite Four movesets, so I'm going off memory, which I only played this game like 4 different times, 4 different occasions. So anyways, from there we're gonna face off against Larry next. Larry's gonna be the flying type Elite Four member of the game. We're gonna start the battle off against him still with my Pyroar, because I know he starts to wear the Tropius. I go for a Flamethrower against him on my first move, so I end up knocking out his Tropius pretty easily. His next Pokemon will be his own Staraptor, which I go for a Flamethrower, which I burn on accident because I completely forgot he has close combat. He goes for a close combat while burn. I'm able to survive the close combat pretty easily. Really shows that I'm very lucky in this situation. From there, he sends out his Oricorio, which I don't end up knocking out in one shot, and he goes for a Revelation Dance, but I live it pretty easily. Flamethrower to knock out the Oricorio, and his next Pokemon will be an Altaria, which I go out into my Tinkaton, dodge a Dragon Pulse, and then go for a Play Rough, immediately knock out the Altaria, which is nice. His next Pokemon will be a Flamigo, which surprisingly I was faster with my Tinkaton, which I wasn't too sure with. I thought most steel types were slow, like Tinkaton looks pretty slow with this giant hammer. A Gigaton hammer outspeed a Flamigo. I was like, wait a second, did I just outspeed? Let me go for a knockoff. And I end up outspeeding knockoff, well, obviously killed the Flamigo, and we end up beating Larry. So somehow it worked out for me. Anyways, from there we're gonna face off against Hassel next. Hansel's the Dragon type Elite Four member of the game. We're gonna start the battle off against him using my Tinkaton, which wasn't the best play. I was kind of scared of Flamethrower here, so I switched out into my Pyroar, but he actually only has Super Fang, and I'm able to do some chip damage against him, and then switch out into my Gastrodon, which will take a Dragon Pulse, and I'm able to recover some HP and then Ancient Power, dodge 2 Super Fangs, and end up knocking out his Northern pretty easily. His next Pokemon will be a Flapper, which I go out into my Staraptor. I'm able to get a nice Aerial Ace into him and knock him out super easily. His next Pokemon will be a Dragolich, which I should have switched out earlier, but I get poisoned. My Staraptor goes low on HP, and then I switched out into my Gastrodon next, and then Earth Power into his Dragolich to knock him out. And then his next Pokemon will be a Haxorus, which is beating down my Gastrodon fairly roughly. So I decided to go out to my Tinkaton, and I'll outspeed him since he can't really do too much against me. I go for a Play Rough, he goes for an Iron Head against me, survive pretty easily, and then it will knock him out. And then knock out his Haxorus, and his final Pokemon will be Baxcalibur, which is going to be the Pseudo Legendary, and he can't really do too much. His main move is Brick Break, and it does a whole 10 damage against me. So I go for a Play Rough against him, I 2-shot him, and end up knocking him out. So we end up beating down Hassel, and we've cleared through the Elite Four. And then from there, we're going to face off against the worst champion in the entire franchise. We're going to face off against Geta next. Geta is going to be trash. I just hate her team. Her team is so trash. Anyways, we're going to start the battle off against her ostrich-looking Pokemon with my Fire Giraffe. We're going to go for a Nasty Spot, which not a great play because it actually copies me. Her ability copies me. And now it's also boosted up. And now her Dazzling Gleam will 2-shot me. Luckily enough, I survived one. Maybe I could survive another one, but luckily Shadow Ball will 1-shot her. And then her next Pope, I hate when she just like claps and is like, oh my god, you did so well. It's just so pandering. Anyway, she sends out her King Gambit next. I go out into my Pyroar, and I take one of these tough moves. Lucky enough, Pyroar is able to survive that. Lucky enough, it doesn't have Sucker Punch, and I'm able to Flamethrower and knock out the King Gambit. Her next Pokemon will be an Avlog. She has a Veluza. I'm just saying. Anyways, Flamethrower will knock out the Avlog, and then she sends out her Veluza. You could see why I'm frustrated, why this champion is garbage. From there, I can switch out to my Bellable against the Veluza, discharge into him to knock him out in one shot. Her next Pokemon will be a Go-Go, which I go out into my Pyroar once again, Flamethrower into him, and knock him out. And their final Pokemon will be a Glimmora, which I go out into my Gastrodon, and it will survive any moves pretty easily. And I can Earth Power into him and then knock him out. So yeah, we skip the champion fight. We're going to face off against Nemona next. Nemona is the final fight in the game, and the final fight I'll show. Obviously, I think it wraps up the story pretty well as the final fight. Anyways, we're going to start the battle off against Nemona. I know she's going to use a Lightning Rock, so I go for my Tinkaton to start the battle. Gigaton Hammer will knock out the Lightning Rock. Unfortunately, she outspeeds me and go for a Stealth Rock, so kind of hinders my team a little bit, surprisingly, but I'm able to knock out the Lightning Rock. And then the next Pokemon will be an Earthworm, which I go out into my Staraptor because I know it's going to go for a Ground type move. I do predict it pretty well. I go for a close combat against him. Unfortunately, I lower my defense and I'm unable to knock out the Earthworm. For warm Pokemon can go for a body press, which luckily enough I do survive and I can go for a close combat against her, but that means my Staraptor is out of commission for this battle unless I want to use it for a sack, so it's gonna go back. So I'm gonna switch out my Staraptor. As she sends out her Polynut, I go out to my Gastrodon next, which actually great play, survived the attack pretty well, and an Earth Power into him to knock him out. Her next Pokemon will be a Dudunsparce, which goes for a Coil against me. I go for a Recover. I'm looking for a special defense drop. It does not get a special defense drop. And surprisingly, I do live on 1 HP because of high happiness. I didn't mean to cheat the system here, so it actually lives twice on 1 HP because of that. I was okay with sacking my Gastrodon. Look, I deleted the Gastrodon image because I thought I lost Gastrodon. I realized it has some tomfoolery and has some shenanigans. Gastrodon really loves me, and it survives on 1 HP again. I'm sorry. I couldn't affect that at all. I don't know how to change that. I didn't know it would actually survive, so sorry about that. Anyways, Nemona's next Pokemon will be a Goodra. I go out to my Tinkaton, obviously, and then play rough into the Goodra and one-shot destroy it, surprisingly. And their final Pokemon will be a Skeledridge, which is going to be the final evolution of the Fuecoco line. I decided to go out to my Gastrodon to sack it anyways, because I need a free sack, and I don't want to give it a Torch Song boost. And then from there, I go out into my Bellaboat, which is basically my starter Pokemon at this point, and I'm going to Terra Evolve. My second Terra Evolve is the same Terra Evolve that I did at the beginning of the game. I go for a Terra Evolve into a fighting type Pokemon after she goes for an Earth Power against me. I survive an Earth Power, obviously, and then I could go for a Discharge to knock her out. After using 2 Mud Shots to lower her speed, I'm able to discharge into her and end up knocking out the Skeledridge. And we end up beating Nemona, and we end up clearing through Pokemon Scarlet. Using only Raid Dense Pokemon. Now, the death counter is actually pretty high. Surprisingly, I thought it would be higher after the first gym, because the first gym went pretty poorly with my selection of Pokemon, and also the second gym didn't went too well either. So it was bad omens all around. But surprisingly enough, this challenge became very easy as time progresses. Obviously, I lost a lot of Pokemon in my Ghost Gym, which sucks really hard. I lose a Crocodile at the Ghost Gym, and I couldn't use it in the Psychic Gym. Pretty much sucked, but it actually opened the door for a better team, because I think this is a more well-rounded team overall. Gastrodon and Pyro are 2 really needed members of my team that actually really benefited me. But yeah, that's my overall review of this challenge video. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Really subscribe to my channel. You know, we're very close to 40k, like very close. Like, I'm gonna leave a comment telling you to subscribe because we're very close to 40k. But anyways, that'll be my time for today. I hope you all enjoyed this video uploaded on a McDonald's Wi-Fi around my location. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. My name's been Alpha. Hope you all had a great day, and I'm out. Peace.